Step back three. That's a good shot for three.
Stepping through off the window, good. Stepping through the raindrops and the finish on the right hand.
And then it's going to Boomers' way with back-to-back threes. The Boomers, a WNBL chance.
Round 6 of the Cygnett WNBL tips off for the Wednesday night clash between the undefeated league leaders and a team coming off their breakthrough win of the season, the Bendigo Spirit, flown out of the blocks to be a perfect 6-0. New coach Kennedy Kerryama and returning veterans Kelly Wilson and Kelsey Griffin leading from the front to set a cracking early pace. Meanwhile, the Sydney Flames, they're the youngest team in the competition this season. Coach Shane Heal and his young Chargers led the Spirit at half-time 10 days ago. They've since gone on to post a confidence-boosting win last weekend. It's round 6 WNBL action. It's the Spirit and the Flames at Red Energy Arena in Bendigo. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Night Hoops here on your home of Hoops, ESPN. Jason Bennett alongside 2006 World Champion Jenny Screen for the Spirit and the Flames. And Screeny, well, it sort of feels like the Flames are starting to get a little bit of momentum. They're starting to find their identity. The last 3 or 4 games have been much better and they're starting to build a little.
They are, and they did lead at half-time against Bendigo in the last game. Even though head-to-head it is 2-0, I feel like it just takes one win, and they got that last round. So potentially that'll give them a little bit of momentum, a little bit of positivity and confidence going to this game tonight. Yeah, they know they can hang with Bendigo. That's the most important thing. Can they get it done for 4 quarters? We will find out tonight. Let's check out the league ladder through 5 rounds of action, and there's 2 informed teams right now that are setting the pace. The Bendigo Spirit, they're on a 6-game winning streak. They sit a game clear of the Melbourne Boomers, who are on a 4-game run, including a victory over the Fire last Wednesday night, which handed them outright second spot on the ladder. The Flyers sit 4th ahead of Adelaide, who host the Boomers on Sunday, while the Lynx will head to Townsville this weekend. Critical game, that one, to keep them in touch with the top 4. Well, let's welcome in the 3rd member of our commentary team this evening as we head courtside. Good evening and welcome to Candy Hertz.
Hi everyone, welcome to Red Energy Arena tonight, and this is the 3rd and final time these 2 teams are going to be meeting this season. Now, Bendigo took the win the last 2, but let me tell you, this young and very hungry Sydney side are determined to keep that momentum going from their first win they had last round. I also heard a rumour there's a bit of a rivalry between these 2, so let's make sure we keep an eye out for that tonight as well. Unfortunately, from the Bendigo camp, Abby Werung is out once again this game. She's had some oral surgery, so they're just making sure they're extra precautious. But the good news is she will be back next game. And of course, it's another one of those fun ones with a Keely Froling and Alicia Froling matchup. I cannot wait to see how these 2 go, both in the starting 5. At the moment, Alicia is ahead in the head-to-head, but Keely is going to want to captain her team to a win for an extra special reason tonight. Let's see how that plays out as well.
Thanks, Candy. I think you found the source of the rivalry between the 2 teams. It starts with the Froling sisters, who are as ferociously competitive with each other as any 2 players in the competition. Well, let's start with the keys to the game screening. We'll start with the Bendigo Spirit. What are their keys to success this evening?
Look, for me, I think it's pick and roll defense. Obviously, Shyla Heal is obviously a big deal in the pick and roll. She loves to come off and create for her teammates. Jocelyn Willoughby is the same, as I get my words out. And then obviously bench productivity. They've been sensational. 20+ points off the bench. That has to continue. It's nice to have 2 former Opals coming off the bench for you. And then obviously winning the glass is a big one for Bendigo.
And for the Flames tonight, what are their keys to success?
They've got to play 40 minutes, Jace. We've seen glimpses of how good they can be. We know they're young and obviously inexperienced as well in terms of games played in the WNBL. But if they can compile 40 minutes, they're going to be good, dominating the paint. In the last 2 heads-to-heads, Bendigo have won that almost 40-20 in both games, and then obviously limit the damage of Kelsey Griffin. KG23 is having a stellar season yet again, in top 5 in many statistical categories, and it's going to be a big job for Keely Froling.
Yeah, you mentioned those boards being critical. Bendigo, the best offensive board percentage in the league. Sydney, the worst defensive board percentage in the competition. So really critical tonight for the Flames to box out, crash those boards, deny Bendigo those second chance points, because they're the second best shooting team in the competition, the Spirit. You just can't give them additional shots.
No, you can't. They're shooting 47% from the field and then 40% from the three-point line. If any coach had that from a team at this point in the season, you've got to be happy, and I know Kennedy would be as we see their starting lineup. That's pretty sensational. A lot of experience there. Alex Wilson is having a great season as well. She looks really, really fit and locked in. And then obviously Annalee Maley, the reigning MVP of the league, is dominating yet again, averaging a double-double in most games.
Had had 23 and 14 rebounds and then 26 and 11 rebounds in their 2 meetings so far this season. The 2 Froling sisters will come together mid-court. Alicia the elder by 7 minutes. They'll have nothing more than ripping into each other. It's always fun to watch. We'll have more on them at halftime. We've got a halftime feature on the Froling sisters. So the Sydney Flames on the road for the 6th time in their 7 games this season. It's been a challenging start. They led the Spirit at halftime 10 days ago. Can they serve it up to the league leaders again? It's Griffin combining with Wilson. Kelsey gets it back. Now Ali Wilson. They're 3 veterans all involved. You throw in Froling as well. It's an impressive lineup. She goes to work early, gets to position and finishes.
Beautiful footwork there by Alicia Froling. Nice little poise. She had some great defence on her by Schfren, but just couldn't get it done defensively, but a good finish there from Bendigo.
So Shyla Hill and Tiana Mungakahia, the 2 guards for Sydney, can really get things going. Shervin, inside ball, and 1. Good start for Froling.
Well, Frolings really down one end and then obviously Froling down the other end, making it count, finding the bottom net. Nice little high-low action there between the 4-5 of Sydney Flames, and it's nice to see them going inside early. We know how prolific they are from the outside. They do have shooters. They've recruited shooters. We know Shane likes to shoot and made a career out of it himself, but good to see they're finding inside the paint early.
So Keeley misses that shot. Last time these 2 teams played, she went 5 for 15 from the free throw line, uncharacteristically wayward. She shot 90% from there for the rest of the season. But last time these 2 teams played, Sydney left 15 points on the board by missing free throws. Could have been the difference between a win and a loss as Griffin continues her amazing season with another good start here. Here's Willoughby. It's short. Wilson to Wilson. Inside, Froling, good position. Her sister arrives late.
And I love the little stare down there, and great running there and push by Bendigo. We know that they love to crash the glass and they can get out and fly when they get a defensive transition. Is going to have to be on point for the Sydney Flames tonight.
Wilson inbound. Kira Rowe, who's got the job on Annalee Maley, and Shane Hill saying it's a tough matchup because not only do you have to be able to push up and down the floor with her, but you've got to be big and strong and physical enough to go with her in the air as well.
I think the job with her is not even to compete in the air. I would just box her out completely, allow someone else to get the rebound. If you can keep Males to around 8 rebounds for the game, I think that's a job well done.
A fair effort, wouldn't it? She's been averaging double that over the last 12 months or so. Ellie to Kelly. The Wilsons combine. Froling. Sydney get an early stop. So Keeley to inbound to Willoughby. 24-year-old from New Jersey. Great college career at Virginia now with the New York Liberty in the WNBA. There's Jocelyn. She gets it back here from Shyla Hill. Thinks about pulling the trigger herself. Shot clock down to 7. Can Shyla Hill make something happen? Rose in the corner. Nicely set. And the Flames have the lead.
Great confidence boost there for the Sydney Flames. Made something out of nothing. Didn't get much out of their structure early in that offense, but Shyla Hill with the ball in her hand at the end of the shot clock was able to create and find a teammate in the corner.
Maley puts it on the floor against Rowe. Sticks to the task defensively. Made it tough enough. Well played, Kira Rowe. Willoughby to Heel. Maley didn't take it, but has support. Froling off to Griffin. What a season Kelsey's having back in Bendigo. Ellie Wilson works on Willoughby, feeds the pass through to Maley, gathers just inside, and then flips it back out to Kelly Wilson. Shot clock to single digits. Wilson looking for an option, will go herself. Froling, good position, nice board, can't finish. Good start here from Sydney.
I'd have to agree, Jace. I'm loving the defensive intensity. They're riding, they're staying with players on penetration. They've given up 2-0 boards early, but apart from that, I think their defense has been pretty on point.
Hill versus Wilson. Now Willoughby versus Ali Wilson. Loses the handle. Jocelyn can't believe the call. Said it was slapped away. Here's another look. Was it off the leg of Ali Wilson? Looked to be. Bendigo get one there. Ali Wilson to Maley. Nice finish.
Too easy, little simple staggers action, double screen on the stroke sign. Maley's come off that really well, turned the corner, and a nice little jumper.
So impressive, Annalee Maley, coming off that breakout MVP season last year, to be putting up similar numbers in a team that this year has more scoring options, more rebounding options, yet she's still putting up those numbers. Froling, nice finish.
And on the back of Maley there, as we see Froling with a nice little bucket, she's actually shooting great from the three-point line. 9 of 19, 47%. Not really known for her ability to shoot the three, but to add that, you know, to her toolbox, if you will, her skill set, it's just going to make it all the bit harder for everyone to defend her.
A nice assist there as she popped it over the top to Froling. With the Alicia variety. Here's Willoughby. Goes herself. Wanted to kick it out. Had Rowe in the corner. Shervin. Now Heel. Shot clock to 6. Willoughby still in the corner as she was moments ago. They didn't pick her up. She adds another 3. Flames up by a couple. Kelly Wilson goes herself and 1.
I'm loving the battle right now between Kelly Wilson, the 415 gamer of the WNBL, against the, I wouldn't say young anymore, Shyla Heel. I feel like she's been around a long time, I should say, rather.
6th year in the league, isn't it? She's only 21.
Debuted at 14, obviously, but the battle between those two, I think, is going to be really great tonight for anyone watching at home. You know, the physicality between these two, there's going to be no love lost, that's for sure.
Kennedy Kerryama says that Kelly Wilson's the best shooter on their team. He encourages her to shoot more often, but she's such a selfless pass-first guard. She gives it off when she could go herself more often. Spirit up by 1 as we approach the midway point of the opening term. Heel gets to the lane herself and banks it in.
And that's that pick and roll defense I spoke about off the top. And in terms of the keys to win, Bendigo have to be on point with that, whether they're hard showing, switching. Otherwise, Shyla Heel, if she gets going and confident in that two-person game, she can be a nightmare.
Annalee Maley this time was turning around looking for the call, a bit nonplussed. It'll be a Sydney ball. Meg McKay into the action. Pretty handy coming off the bench for Bendigo, such as their depth at the moment. Heel gets a screen, slips away from Levy, who returns to add some pressure. Willoughby, nice little step on Griffin, can't finish. Kelsey off to Maley. As always, wants to put speed on the ball. Good defensive work again. Willoughby called for the foul on the second block of that play.
Great look from Sydney down the other end, but again, defensive transition. They're not getting to their spots. They're not matching up early, and then they're getting hurt in the transition push from Bendigo. And then those second efforts we spoke about. You cannot give the league leaders of the Cygnett WNBL any second possessions. But boy, that's a hard job when you got the likes of McKay and then obviously KG23 and Froling as well crashing the glass. It's going to be a long night if you don't box out.
So Meg McKay, 25-year-old. Great season last year, really cemented herself in this Bendigo lineup. Haven't things turned quickly? A team that was struggling to post a win early last season, steadily built in the back half of the year, and now they're undefeated through 6 rounds. There's been some personnel changes, but quite a few players still around. Here's Tiana. And Froling. Nice turnover and score there for Sydney, and they're back in front. Quick hands, Munga Kahia. Oh, lovely work from Wilson. Slips the opponent, feeds Griffin off the rim. And here's Willoughby. Will she go against Levy? She'll take Tessa on. Levy did her best to avoid the foul. Still clipped her in the process.
Great job there by Jocelyn. And great hands by Tiana here, just creating that deflection and turnover. And obviously assist for her teammate, but I'm loving the physicality on the defensive end by the Sydney Flames. And then Willoughby being able to get out on the break and run. Great physical guard. You know, WNBA player, was at Phoenix, then obviously now at New York. And she's been around. She knows the game. It's taken her a while to adjust to the style of play here in Australia and the different level of physicality, if you will. And obviously this team plays gritty, right? If they're going to win, they're going to have to play like that. But I really enjoy watching her play. She's
had a fair share of injuries in recent times. Was, as you said, drafted by Phoenix, but traded to New York on the same night. So she went straight to New York, but only played 33 WNBA games in 3 years. Had a torn Achilles in 21, didn't play at all that season, and then had a quad, which kept her out for a couple of months this year. So great for her just to be getting some flying miles down under. And Griffin, speaking of flying, she is at the moment, Kels, on fire. What a season she's having.
15 of 36 now from the three-point line. Another one. Imagine that. 2 players in your team. She's shooting at a 40% clip from the three-point line that have the ability to do that.
We're all locked up with just over 3.5 minutes to play in the opening term. Munga Kahia off to heel. Can she respond? Rattles out. McKay to Levy. Now Griffin again. Short. Ball in dispute. Tidied up. Emma Clark. Wants heel. And gets heel. Charlotte now. Sets the play. Willoughby. Steps around McKay. Did really well. She's got a great first step, doesn't she, Jocelyn Willoughby?
Strong, robust, and quick. She uses her strength to her advantage, but really smart here. She saw that she had the advantage with McKay being matched up onto her into transition and just said, give me the ball, get out of my way, and I'm going to take it to the rack.
She's a big guard with a physical presence, sort of that in-between, so she can handle small guards, she can handle mobile bigs. Big upside. Shane Hill saying that previously through college and in the WNBA, she's been used to standing in the corner and hitting threes. That's been her role. But they're playing through her a lot more, and she's learning what that means. She's learning how to play double teams and adapt to those sort of things, so she's evolving her game.
Absolutely. I mean, we know we've seen her drain a three in the corner already, but if she can continue to create, and obviously you spoke earlier about her injuries and stuff, and this WNBL season for her is probably to find her legs again as well. So the ability for her them to play through her only is going to give her more and more confidence.
McKay, tough finish. Here's Willoughby again. Munga Kahia. Side to Froling. Flashing through was Clark. Here comes Willoughby. Griffin to guard her. Kicks it back out. Panousis. Inside ball looking for Froling. Good pressure there from Bendigo. Defence stood up. And now Levy. Late to the program, juggling her AFLW responsibilities with Richmond, but such a pro. Always in such great physical condition. Gets to a spot she likes.
And the luxury of having a former Australian Opal coming off the bench, and you just spoke about her condition and her fitness, but Kennedy Kariyama would be trusting her as well just to control the tempo and fill that void for Kelly Wilson when she needs a rest.
Froling throws out the inside ball, goes to Panousis. Here's Willoughby for three. Big board there from Griffin. Spoke about the importance of rebounding in this game for Sydney, and Griffin loses the handle. Sydney ball with just under 2 minutes remaining in the opening term. We spoke about the points in the paint. Not overly damaging at the moment. It's 10-8 in favour of Bendigo. Shane Hill will be okay with that. Rebound count at the moment, 8-5 in favour of Bendigo.
Which is pretty good, Ryan, for Sydney. They're not known for their defensive rebounding. They're one of the worst in the league. Obviously, Bendigo have those 3 offensive rebounds. First 2 came in the first 2 possessions of this quarter. So Sydney have tightened that up. They're crashing the boards well. They're getting hands to possession. So right now, if I'm Shane Hill, I'm pretty happy with where I am against the league leaders.
Yeah, we spoke about defensive rebounds earlier. Sydney Flames ranked 8th in the comp, both in differential and in total defensive rebounds. And there's a turnover. Wilson, Maley. Here's Ellie Wilson. She sets up for 3.
And that's what that girl can do. We've seen her do it many a time in the WNBL throughout her career. We saw her do it be the X factor for the Sydney Flames when she did play for them. And I think this will probably be her best year yet. I think Kennedy will demand a lot from her. He will hold her to an account, and she will have a sensational season.
Emma Clark gets on the board. Here's Wilson again from a similar spot. Off the front of the iron this time, but here's Maley to pick up the rebound. Kelly Wilson to Froling. Back to Kelly. Gets a screen from Froling. Gets to the stripe. It's short. They get another look. This time it's McLean. We spoke about defensive rebounds. This has given Bendigo 3 opportunities on this possession. Wilson, McLean, inside well done Shervin. Broke up the play. Munga Kahia. Looking for an option. There's Heel. Once again, she'll slow the play down. Set something up here. Shervin provides the screen. Tries to step through and does step through. Shot won't drop, but she'll go to the line, Shyla Heel.
Great job there. Just to draw out that mid-pick and roll, Charlotte dragged the ball out towards the halfway line and just got the Bendigo Spirit defense into a little bit of a bother there. They didn't know whether they were flat showing, hard showing, and just caught each other up, and Charlotte was able to put on the Jets and get herself to the foul line.
And she's been battling glandular fever in recent times and had COVID a couple of weeks ago as well. So that sort of halted the amount of work she can do off the court. She's been sleeping a lot. So hasn't been probably getting up the shots that she normally has. No,
and we know she works hard. She has done, always will be a hard worker. We know that of Charlotte Hill. It's been a tough kind of 12 to 18 months for that kid. You know, you spoke about she's been in the league a long time, but she's only the ripe old age of 21. Missed out on Opal's selection with the World Cup. Didn't have the greatest experience in her rookie year in the WNBA. And there's a lot of light on her. Her last name's Hill. That name comes with a lot of prestige and a very well-known name in the basketball world. And I think there's a lot to come of her in the next few years, and if she wants it, she's got to be willing to go get it.
This is Hannah Shervin, their rookie, big from Minnesota. This is the first. She was brought into the team to really sit behind Kalani Purcell and be the backup and just learn slowly in her first year in the comp. And then Kalani, great news, got pregnant. So she's not playing this year, and suddenly Hannah's their frontline big.
And we know how great Kalani is. She's a blue-collar worker, but, you know, with adversity comes opportunity for Shervin to step into that. And she's relishing that, obviously, stepping up. And there'll be nights where it won't go away. But as long as she does the little things and possession, stay in front, as we see a beautiful drive there from Alicia Froling, good things will come Sydney's way as the season goes on.
Lovely work here from Froling, working on Shervin. Kissed it off the glass, and we'll go to the stripe. 23.8 left in the opening term. Shervin off to heel, and now Sydney can get a look at the final shot of the term. Heel versus McLean. Shyla creates some space, steps back and drains it. Lovely play, Shyla Hill. She ties it up. Final seconds. Griffin, half-court shot. Will be short. Great start from the Sydney Flames. 23 points apiece. Opening term, it is quarter time. ESPN's WNBL Game of the Week right here on your home of hoops.
It's the same when we're closing players out and we get beat. I'm going to have secondary rotations now. Two areas we can really focus on this quarter. One, pick and roll coverages. We've got to work harder to fight over top and stay connected. There's far too much separation between guard and your teammate, your matchup. So stay aggressive into the hit and try and stay attached. Become difficult to be screened.
You've got to make those. It can't happen again like last time. Get to the line and make them. You can't leave Kelsey Griffin in transition and we give up a three. You have to plug. You're waiting here for Kelsey Griffin to come down and they're attacking our guards here and you're there. You have to get back into a plug position. Everybody, defensive transition is critical for us. They can't stop us at the offensive end, but we're giving up too many easy ones at the other end.
Entertaining opening term of action at Red Energy Arena in Bendigo. And we are all locked up at quarter time at 23 points apiece. Bendigo Spirit and the Sydney Flames. There's Kelsey Griffin. Willoughby And Keely Froling leading the game for Sydney with 6 points apiece, while Alicia Froling has 6 for the Spirit. Griffin with 5. As we start the second term, Kennedy Kariyama saying his defensive objective is to keep teams in the mid-60s. Well, the Flames have come out and scored 23 in the opening term, so they're ahead of schedule. Willoughby under some pressure, brings it inside to Froling. Back out to Jocelyn. Nicely worked.
Beautiful, great little inside package there from Froling posting up. Didn't have the advantage there on KG23. Kicked it back out, set a nice little screen, if you will. And Jocelyn doing great things, coming off for a jump shot, as we see KG doing it down the other end with a shot of her own.
So they exchange shots. Willoughby pops one over the top of Griffin, and Kelsey responds. Here's Willoughby again. Munga Kahia. Froling working on Griffin. Nice. Contested shot. She popped it over the top. Sydney back in front.
And that's what I'm loving about Sydney thus far on the offensive end. They're going inside, which means the defense has to collapse eventually, and they've got the shooters to kick out. They hit 2 threes in that first quarter, but if they continue to do that, they're going to have looks offensively from many different advantages on the offensive end.
This Griffin-Willoughby battle is starting to heat up. It is entertaining, and scores level once again.
Great defense, just better offense from some of these girls in the Cygnett WNBL this season, and that was evident right there by KG.
Willoughby versus Griffin again. Jocelyn puts it on the floor. This is a show.
This is a shootout.
2 guns for either team. Griffin and Willoughby just going at it, bucket for bucket right now. Annalie Maley says, hey, don't forget about me. Spin move on Clark. Froling versus Froling.
And that was the difference for me in the first quarter. We spoke about owning the glass and limiting the offensive rebounding. 6-0 boards to Bendigo in the opening term is not good for Sydney. And then obviously they've got to tidy up on that defensive trans end.
Munga Kahia. Heel gets a look off the iron. Froling. Griffin. She's got Wilson to the left. Maley to the right. She's got one in the eye. She may have inadvertent poke in the eye there for Kelsey Griffin. Just from Froling there, coming across. Hopefully nothing too serious. Ali Wilson, Griffin to Kelly Wilson. Froling tries to fight to the front against her sisters. They're going at it right now in the post. Ali Wilson steps back from heel, just lost her. Can't finish. Clark. Munga Kahia feeds it inside. Froling. Willoughby wraps around. Call for the travel.
And you can see Shane Hill right there applauding his teammates because he knew the execution was good. They went in early to Keely. They had Jocelyn curling around off that. She just got a little bit too happy with her feet. But other than that, the execution was really good.
Maley with the carry. Griffin gets to position. Likes the matchup. Goes herself against Clark, who sticks at it. Griffin draws the foul.
And that's just the difference between good and great. I think Emma Clark has been an awesome pickup for Sydney, but there you're just seeing someone that knows what persistence is, and that is Kelsey Griffin. She went up for the shot. Great D by Emma Clark on the first distance, but just couldn't come up with possession and the rebound. And then the class of Kelsey Griffin chasing her own shot and being able to find something and getting herself to the foul line.
74% free throw shooter for her career and also for the season. Just been so consistent. This is the 11th year in the WNBL for Kelsey Griffin. There's Kennedy Kariyama, his first year as coach of Bendigo. His team lead by 2 as we hit the 7-minute mark of the second term. Willoughby versus Maley. Hill against Ali Wilson. Screen comes from Clark. Froling. Wants to go herself against her sister. Here's Willoughby. Gets to the lane, kicks it out for Clark. Steps inside Griffin. Can't quite get it to finish. Spirit ball. Griffin. Kelly Wilson. Back to Kelsey. And she finishes. Hits the bottom of the net. And the Spirit out to a 5-point lead. We take the first time out of the game, I think. Brought to you by CTM Sport. If you're considering travelling interstate with your team, consider CTM Sport at ctmsport.com.au. I'm going to take you inside the Flames huddle in just a moment. We'll hear from Shane Heal, second-year coach in Sydney. What's he got to say?
Call it 60%. If we can just get some stops down that end, we're in a really good place. Good things can happen for us. Okay. Now I'm going to get you to go to Griffin. Is McKay in? No, so yeah, you go to Griffin. You take Alicia. Okay. You're going to go back to Wilson. You're going to take Maley. Okay. We're good to go. Let's get back to some Euros. Let's get back to some sides, all right? But we've got to sprint into them, spray off and roll them hard, getting you down low. That's good. If you don't have it, flip it, play the second side of it. Good things can happen from that second side as well. Hey, any trans, though, let's get it straight. Let's post it or get a ball reversal and play off it again.
Our resident WNBL translator, Jenny Screen.
Really great composure from Shane Hill there. I liked what he had to say. He's changed the matchups. I think you might see Froling going to KG. I'm not sure. We said off the top that KG we got to limit her impact. She's got 14 points already, so they've got to tidy her up. But they're shooting at 60%. They've just got to make sure they don't give him any second possessions.
And Lee Maley being strapped up, being sent back to the bench. Candy, you're in the Bendigo huddle.
Yeah, Coach Kariyama, he was very congratulatory of his friends. Started with the congratulations, ended with the congratulations. And in that, he also spoke about staying a lot closer to make sure they limit separation and to really crank up that defence.
Thanks, Candy. Shyla keeps that alive. Will then go herself on Levy. It bobbles around and pops out. Tough board for Froling, then loses the handle. It will be a Bendigo ball.
Unlucky roll there from Heel. It was a really nice penetration, and Bendigo cleaning up the glass yet again.
So the rebound count 16. Bendigo 8 Sydney. It's starting to blow out a little bit. That'll be starting to concern Shane Heel. Spirit up by 5. Levy against Clark. Here's Griffin. Back to Tessa. Gets a screen from Froling. Kicks it out to Wilson. Froling versus Clark. They've made that change. Froling draws the foul.
I thought Clark did a great job there. She walled up really well on the secondary movement. Just needed to stay out of the way and not bail out Froling at all. Keeping up that right hand would have been advantageous for her, but just sending Froling now to the line. They've had 10 more scoring shots, Bendigo, to Sydney Flames with 19. And obviously that's come off the back of 8 offensive rebounds thus far for Bendigo Spirit.
So Alicia Froling had a series of really crippling wrist injuries on her right hand, which was a shooting hand. So she swapped hands mid-career and has gone to her left. Won the Player of the Year in the NBL 1 last season. It's been remarkable, Jen. Just how difficult is it?
I don't think I could ever do it. Like, to be able to shoot with your left hand, and I'm not just talking about, we always talk about and preach, being able to shoot off both hands when you're finishing at the rim, but to change your shot and shoot it from the foul line, the three-point line, everywhere, that takes time and effort. And for her to be able to do that at this time of her age, absolutely amazing.
Willoughby drains the 3. Margin back to 4 points. An important bucket there for Sydney as they look to hang in. Griffin. Levy. Now Ellie Wilson. Feeds it to some traffic. Froling can't finish. Good defensive representation in the lane there from Sydney. Heel to Froling. Working on Griffin. Nice finish.
Simple basketball. It's just push in transition, dribble entry, or pass entry, I should say, and a little bit of scissor action and screening between the two guards, allowing Keely Froling just to be able to do what she wants in that low block, as we see Alex Wilson doing Wilson things, knocking down another big 3.
Marching back out to 5. Willoughby. Off to Rowe. Heel against Griffin. Feeds the pass through. Rowe had the same idea, but it's cut off. And here's Ellie Wilson. To the corner for Kelly. Back to Ellie. Now Griffin. To Levy. Will go herself and finish.
You've got to love the tempo, Jace, of Bendigo Spirit. They could have done an early pace 8-second shot there, but the composure of their guards, KG got the ball in her hand, decided to get a two-person game on the weak side with Tessa Levy, and they just made things work. Really crafty, smart basketball there by the Spirit.
So this timeout brought to you by Cygnett. Stay connected with the latest WNBL news and social highlights. Keep your tech charged up at home or on the go with Cygnett's range of charging products and accessories. Thanks to Cygnett for powering the WNBL this season. Check out the range at cygnett.com. As Kennedy Kerryama speaks with his Chargers. So Spirit out to a 7-point lead, just sneaking away. Jenny, how have they done it?
Look, I think they've done it with their offensive boards. Possession game's been big, 8 offensive boards early. They've been a bit sloppy with the ball, 5 turnovers in the opening quarter. Kennedy wouldn't be happy with that. The other area they probably have to pick up on is their pick and roll defense. But hey, they're out to a 7-point lead. The Spirit are off an extra 10 shots that they've had at the hands of Sydney Flames. If I'm Shane Heal, if I can just hang around in the next 4 minutes, just stay within that under 10-point margin with the Bendigo Spirit, tidy up a few things at halftime. We've got a ball game in the second half.
Yeah, points from turnover 11-6, so +5 Bendigo. That's almost the difference in the game. Margin sits at 7 with 4:12 left in the opening half. Wednesday night hoops here on ESPN and KO Sports, coming to you live from Red Energy Arena in Bendigo. Nunga Kahia to Heal. Levy with the guarding duties on this occasion. Willoughby versus Maley. Shyla gets open. Okay. Levy. Now Griffin. Drives hard herself. Gets her own board. Can't finish. Gets a third opportunity. Can't finish again. 3 attempts there from Kelsey Griffin, who hits the floor hard.
And we've been saying it all game thus far in the first opening 15 minutes. It's just the second efforts of the Blue Girls, the Bendigo, the country, whatever you want to call it. They battle hard and they're vets, and every possession matters. They miss, they're crashing the glass every single time, once, twice, 3 times. And it's just not one player. It's 2, it's 3 going to the glass. It's just relentless from these Bendigo Spirit girls.
And he was in there huddle at the last time out.
Yeah, he's not impressed, saying there is still too much separation. They need to get a lot tighter on the ball and talk a bit more in defense too.
So when Kenny talks about separation, what he's talking about there is the pick and roll defense. They're just separating too much off Shyla in that pick and roll, as we see another offensive rebounding opportunity from Kelsey Griffin. But on the other end, they've got to tighten up a little bit better on their pick and roll D.
Well, this is killing Sydney at the moment right now, just giving Bendigo multiple opportunities around the hoop.
And if I'm the Sydney Flames and I've got a battle with the likes of Kelsey Griffin and Froling and even Megan McKay, I'm not even facing up to the rim. I'm just boxing them out with my eyes facing them, and I'm pushing them far away from the rim as I can, and hopefully someone else can collect those rebounds. You don't want to battle in the air with these girls. They're too smart. They read the ball off the rim too well. And even if you can't secure it, the next best thing you can do is just bat it out of bounds and reset defensively.
Spirit 7 of 8 from the stripe. So far this evening, they lead by 9. Tech foul on Shane Heal. Presumably for special comments from the sideline.
And obviously we don't know the context of the tech foul there, but in the context of the game, Jace, that's pretty unfortunate there for Shane Heal. We don't know the conversation he had, but you're down by 9 points. Momentum is definitely with Bendigo. You don't want to be giving up some easy buckets and possession here with a tech foul.
March into double figures for the first time as Maley capitalises. Shervin, Willoughby, and Shyla Heal. Shervin looking to post up and get to position. Willoughby will go herself. She's impressive.
beautiful individual play there and brilliance from Willoughby, just getting some much-needed buckets on the board for the Sydney Flames.
To 15 points, Jocelyn Willoughby. Pass almost deflected from Wilson. Griffin will go herself, getting more and more confident. Kelsey Griffin to drive hard at the basket.
Mate, that girl is just sensational. Shooting at the greatest clip, 5 of 14, but 16 points and 7 rebounds, of which 5 of those are offensive. She is all class.
To 18 now for Kelsey Griffin. Froling's got 10, Willoughby's got 15 for the Flames, who trail by 10 points with 2:41 left in the opening half of basketball. Foul called, Sydney ball. Heel to Froling. Wilson guarding, heel hard. Offensive foul. It was getting pretty physical at the top of the arc.
And you could see the Blue Girls up in the lanes, trying the pass there, and unfortunate for Shervin there. Just a size solid screen, but Wilson just using what she can in terms of her advantage and falling to the floor and forcing the hand of the referees.
The timeout call. Let's take you inside the Bendigo Spirit huddle. They lead by 10 points. Here's their coach, Kennedy Kerryama.
Half to recover. It's unobvious. Next play here. We are flash. Flash. Yeah, flash. So KG will screen for Megs. Megs, go and get Willie. Willie, we're going to get you. So Males is this side. Willie, you're up. Kelly will find you. KG back screen for Cal. Cal's out. Middle pick and roll. We need our corners to hold space. We roll left behind, and look what options we can get out of that. Okay, flash this play here. For you and Willie in the back end. Here we go, team. Spirit.
So for anyone watching at home, all you want to know there at the end of that whatever 20-second play, it's going to be a mid-pick and roll between Ali Wilson with the ball in her hands and Kelsey Griffin setting that screen, and then whatever happened out of that will happen. And Kelsey just gave her the advice there, just go downhill, girl. I'll set you a good screen. You get to the rack.
Meanwhile, in the Sydney huddle, Candy Hertz.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys have been able to see on broadcast, but Shane Hill hasn't been thrilled with some of the refs tonight, and he went in to have a chat to them about a foul discrepancy. He came back to the team and said, stand by, we'll talk about it at halftime. What he did say with them is keep your chins up and stay in it.
Well, he's just disappeared down the tunnel. Has he been thrown out of the game?
Yeah, he's obviously been given another tech. Must have had words to the referees, because obviously Annalee Maley has gone to the foul line. Candy, it'd be lovely if you could follow that up for us, but that's unfortunate for the Sydney Flames. But perhaps this could be the spurring moment and kick them into gear.
So Shelley Gorman, former Opal and great of Australian basketball, steps in and will coach the team. They've also got Rachel Menaput, who was an assistant coach, who's on the playing roster at the moment on a game-by-game deal. So she'll step presumably into the assistant coaching role. So it'll be Shelley and Rachel running the team from the sideline as Shane Hill disappears back in the locker room. More on that when Candy finds out a little bit more shortly. McKay over the top to Maley. Sydney have got to hang tough here. They trail by 12 points. The coaches just disappeared down the race. And there's 2 minutes left for them to navigate in the first half. Willoughby. Munga Kahia. They need some leadership here. They need some points, and they get 2 from Tiana.
That was a beautiful step back there from Tiana. Really went downhill hard, forced the defense into retreat mode, but just had the class and the savviness and poise to pull back there and hit a beautiful jump shot.
Griffin. Maley. Back to Kelsey. Shervin down off the ball. McKay scraps for it underneath, and they come up with a board, Sydney. Here's Willoughby. Thought about Froling inside. Instead, she goes to Munga Kahia. Back to Willoughby. Now inside to Froling. One-on-one with Wilson, who does well. Ellie Wilson. Maley, Griffin, Kelly Wilson. Sizzling pass inside. Was ambitious. Well done, Shervin. Candy Hertz more on this developing Shane Hill story.
Out the door for the rest of the game. It is now over to assistant coach Shelley Gorman instead.
Shane might have blessed the game, but I feel like at the moment Sydney have got nothing to lose. Potentially a little bit of momentum as the timeout's called here as Shelley rallies her troops with obviously Shane Hill being forced out of the game. 1 minute, if they can get momentum heading into half-time and close this deficit potentially to 8 or 6, got a ball game in the third, fourth quarter.
It's a critical last minute of this first half. We've got a blend of youth and experience on this team. Screening, it's time now for those senior leaders to step up in this situation. Don't get frazzled. Don't take your focus off what's happening right now.
No,
you need to hang in this game.
Absolutely, and they don't have a lot of games experience. I mean, Shyla Hill's in the 80 games. Keely Froling's played 133 in the WNBL, but apart from that, it really drops off. So those two really need to step up and take control of this game. And then obviously Shelley Gorman, she's been around. She knows what it's like to play. She played for the Caps for a very long time and was a stalwart of the WNBL and obviously with the Opals. So she'll be able to use her passion and her experience and her knowledge of the game to help these girls through while Shane is obviously exited.
Rolling to Wilson. Spirit by 10. Final minute of the first half. Maley getting busy. Up against Willoughby. Pops it over the top. Well done, Shervin. Breaks up the play.
Shervin's done really well. McKay's a big body down there in the low block, and we've seen her just be able to use her feet, get around, and not be sealed by the likes of McKay and Kelsey Griffin at times.
Shane Hill liked that matchup early in the week when he was looking at these teams. Late shot clock from Wilson, hoists it up, won't go. Froling receives from Willoughby. Nunga Kahia. Shervin feeds it inside. Froling versus Froling. Maley takes control. Alicia Froling. Ellie Wilson. Maley gets the screen from McKay. Runs into some traffic in the key, though. Well done by the Flames. Final 10 seconds of the half. Hill holds it up. Draws a crowd. Will they get the shot up? They won't. Foul called late. Right at the death on Keely Froling. That will frustrate Kennedy Kerryama. You can see Annalee Maley's reaction. Here's another look. There's the rip. Screeney, your thoughts?
Well, look, you put your hand in, you're liable at any point. It's up to the referee, obviously. Annalee probably was unfortunate not to get a foul down the other end when she went to the bucket herself, but you can see the despair and frustration on her face, but a very much needed opportunity for Sydney Flames to close the deficit to under 10, and we know that psychologically 8 rather than 10 is really, really important if you're going into the game or going into halftime rather.
Crowd
not
getting
leading.
Involved. So Keely Froling, we spoke about last time these two teams played, she went 5 for 15 at the line. She's 0 for 1 tonight. This is an important shot for her and for the Flames. Generally such a good free throw shooter. She's been going something like 90% this season, aside from that one game against Bendigo. She makes the second. Margin back to 9 points at the half. In a dramatic, action-packed first half of basketball. Our Wednesday night ESPN WNBL Game of the Week. We weren't sure what we were going to get coming into this one. We've got ourselves a spirited contest. Shane Hill's been kicked out of the game for the Sydney Flames. The Spirit made a bit of a move in that second term. The Flames managed to just hang in. And here's Candy Hertz with Alicia Froling.
Alicia, it was quite tight there in that first quarter, but then you guys managed to break it open in the second. How'd you do that?
I think we just focused on our defense a little bit more. I mean, they're a good team and they made a lot of shots in that first quarter too, so we just got to tighten that up.
Now, I'm not sure if you realise, but their head coach has had a tech and he is out the door. They're going to come out with a different sort of spirit with them and they come back out again. How are you going to weather that storm?
I think just do what we do. You know, we just keep locking them down on defense, doing what we do offensively. I think we're going to focus on us.
Good luck for the next half, Alicia.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks to Candy Hertz and Alicia Froling. So 25 points to 16 in that second term. Better defensive performance there from Bendigo. Scores level at quarter time. They're out to a 9-point lead at the half. This is Wednesday Night Hoops on ESPN. It's Bendigo 48, Sydney 39.
Hi, this is Alicia. And this is Keely.
I'm super confident. I'm playing the best basketball I have in years, and I'm just really excited to finally be kind of back and confident in myself and just be able to play the game the way I know I can play it, and I just can't wait. To be the captain of the Flames this year is a huge honour. Obviously I was the co-captain last year, so I learnt a lot, and it was a tough year, so kind of had a lot of that experience under my belt. But this year I'm really excited to take on the role, and I think I've been really lucky to be surrounded and had really great role models as leaders in the past, so I'm excited to try and be that for my teammates.
Of course, the two Frolings facing off today as well.
Definitely someone's going to have bragging rights on the way home.
When we play Alicia, it's going to be great. It always adds an extra element to those games, and it's really exciting. I'm a very competitive person, as she is, and we've grown up that way. So to play against each other, it always is a great game, and I'm really excited, and hopefully there's no blood. Playing against Keely is always, I'm competitive anyway, so against her it just goes to a whole nother level. It's going to be a very intense game, it always is. I'm sure we're going to go at each other. I don't know the exact record at the moment, but I'm winning, so that's all we need to know, right?
Who is going to win this year? Bendigo.
I don't even need to say anything. I'll let the basketball speak for itself.
Just for the record, it's 4-2 in favour of Alicia. Keely probably doesn't want to know that, although I suspect she actually does know that and just says, oh, I don't know what the head-to-head is. It doesn't really matter. What an amazing family. Mum Jenny was a WNBL star in her own right, won 3 championships. Dad Shane was an NBL player and coach. The 2 brothers, Sam and Harry, both play NBL, and then Alicia and Keely both play WNBL. As a parent, what that says to me is just think of the miles they've driven, the uniforms they've washed, the money they've spent, the injuries and the disappointment they've had to nurse through, but they've done it all as a family.
But also the joy that they get to sit back and watch their children go through probably a journey similar to theirs and write their own passage as 4 individuals playing this great game of basketball.
Yeah, wonderful family, the Frolings. We're looking forward to them going head-to-head again in the second half. Right now, it's the Spirit up by 9 points. As we mentioned before the break, a pretty dramatic, action-packed first half. Well, the Spirit knew that the Flames would come and play gritty basketball, as they have in the other 2 meetings so far this season. They hung with them at quarter-time, scores were level. Bendigo started to work their way clear in the second term. Screeny, how'd they do it?
Look, I was really happy with Sydney Flames. They did a really good job in that first quarter, but Bendigo just did Bendigo things. They're blue-collar workers. They crashed the boards really well. They were able to get 9 other scoring opportunities compared to Sydney, and Sydney just didn't box out well enough. And then obviously their D-trends just went a little bit lacking at times as well. But KG is leading from the way. She got 18 points, 6 of 15 and 7 rebounds to boot, but 5 of those are coming on the offensive end.
So you look at that rebound count, 24-13 in favour of the Spirit, and then you look at the top, the field goals, 40 shots to 26. That's the difference in the game, isn't it? That extra rebounds, those extra shots, and the Spirit have been able to jack up 14 more shots.
Absolutely, and both teams are shooting at an sensational clip. It's just the rebound count, that secondary possessions that they're not getting, and then obviously the turnovers. They had 8 turnovers to the half, whereas Bendigo only had the 5 for that opening quarter.
Shane Hill out of the game for the rest of it. He's out for the second half. Shelley Gorman takes over as Sydney Flames coach. We'll hear more from Candy Hurt shortly. It is half-time in our WNBL ESPN Game of the Week. It's the Spirit leading it by 9 points. Red Energy Arena in Bendigo, and it is the Spirit leading the Flames by 9 points. Scores locked up at quarter time. Bendigo adding 25 points to 16 in that second term as we head courtside. Here's Candy.
Hey guys, I had a chance to have a quick chat to Coach Kariyama, and he did say he just repeated what he's been saying all game. They really need to limit that space. They need to talk a lot more in defense. But he also said they need to make sure they lock up Jess and Keely. They want to make sure they limit them so that they are able to then get one on top of them. Now, I did ask him if he's happy with how his team are going. They've got pretty great numbers on their turnovers and, of course, offensive rebounds as well. And he said he's happy, but they need to keep going, of course. I also had a quick question to him about what he thought about Shane Hill out the door, and he said, listen, it's always better when a coach is there, but maybe it was a tactic. So that's his take on it. I did try and have a quick chat to their assistant coach who has stepped up for the rest of the game. Then, unfortunately, Shelley Gorman was just a little too busy at this time to have a chat, so we'll have to catch her in a timeout.
Thanks, Candice. We start the second half in Bendigo. Spirit leader by 9 points. Managed to get the game on their terms a little bit more in the second quarter. Griffin links up with Ali Wilson. Launches a three. Froling shoulder to shoulder. Sydney ball.
And that's a good start defensively for Sydney. It looked like they're in a little bit of a matchup or showed a zone there, and on the first cut it went to a bit of a man-on-man kind of defense. But nice little change up there to start the third quarter and put a little bit of doubt in Bendigo whether they're in a man or a zone.
Kelsey Griffin leads the game with 18 points, 10 for Froling. The Alicia variety. Willoughby can't find a white singlet. Away comes Maley. Pulls up at the three-point arc. Wilson. Ali to Kelly to Maley. Now Griffin. Kelly Froling comes up with the board. Willoughby's been the main offensive threat for the Flames so far in this game with 15 points. Keely Froling's had 11. Here's Heel. Working against Kelly Wilson. Off to Rowe. Shot clock to single digits. The Frolings come together. Keely puts Alicia down and finishes with 2.
Keely might have got one up there, but Alicia was really great for Bendigo in that opening first half. 10 points and obviously the 7 rebounds to go with it as well. It's a nice little battle between the Frolings.
Marching back to 7. Ali to Kelly for 3.
Well, she may not shoot it much, Jace, but when she does, they normally find the bottom of the net. Does Kelly Wilson her first 3, or obviously her first 3 points of the game, but leading the way in the assist category for her team with 4.
Legend of this league, Kelly Wilson, the game's record holder, and Heel responds. Important bucket for Sydney.
And that's the way you want to respond, from one point guard to the other. You can shoot it down one end, I can do it down the other as well, but a much needed bucket for Sydney. Now they've got to lock in and get some stops collectively.
Froling feeds it through to Griffin. Just a dribble between her legs to take control. Receives it back from Ali Wilson. Works on Shervin. Goes right. Well done, Shervin did enough, and it's there for Shervin to tidy it up. Important couple of minutes here for Sydney, just to re-establish themselves in this contest. They trail by 7. Heel versus Griffin. Charlotte goes herself, gets it back. Froling, Rowe, she goes and drives and finishes. It's a 5-point game.
Great job there by Rowe. Not the nicest of pass from Keely, and she thought better of it than taking the 3 and put it on the floor and found her way to the bucket.
Wilson from the corner. Shervin can't control the board. Maley does and makes them pay.
And that just hurts because they have a great offensive set down one end and they almost come up with possession on the defensive end and they don't, and then Bendigo make them pay.
Back out to 7. Froling versus Maley, the reverse, tough shot. Griffin there to provide defensive support, comes up with the rebound. Wilson looks to push the pace. Now Maley sets her feet. Way short. Shervin holds it up. Hands off to Heel. Rowe to Shervin. Shyla wraps around. Pressure comes from Kelly Wilson and draws a foul.
And Sydney are getting through their sets, but they're just a little bit slow to get to spots. Screening action off the ball is a bit sloppy at times, which means Kelly Wilson can just be all over the top of Shyla Hill, and we know that that's where the ball is wanting to go. But good job there by Bendigo in that half-floor set just to weather the opportunity or the defensive set
Timeout brought to you by DIY Blinds. To fit out your home with Aussie-made designer quality window furnishings. DIYblinds.com.au. Here's Kennedy.
We're in elbows. I don't want to see KG inbound the ball. Frozen, your job's to get down the floor, present targets. And then wings, we throw to you, we slide down, weak side flash across, ball moving into zone motion. Now, right now, they're doing a horrible job of the corner. Now, we don't have to take the first three. We can get more ball movement, but we've got to get inside touches or dribble penetration, then get to receiver spots.
Remember, this is our motion, right? Ball goes to the corner, you dribble up, big swing, go out.
Here we go. Sorry.
So just detecting a little bit of frustration in Kennedy Kerryama. This team hasn't been able to break the Flames just yet.
No, and we remember they stuck around with them in their last outing and obviously led for a little bit there. And that's the challenge for Bendigo, whether they can continue to persistently play when they're out in front. And that's always the challenge, right? When you're out in front, you can kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit. Shot selection early in the start of this third quarter hasn't been great for Bendigo, and then adjusting just to the zone and the matchup zone. But that's a good way to come out of the timeout there with the turnover and the steal.
Griffin with active hands comes up with the ball. Kelly Wilson links up with Froling, receives it back, steps around, kicks it out to Maley against Willoughby. Ali Wilson to Kelly. Froling provides the screen. Kelly Wilson then feeds it through to Froling. Can't hang on.
And they're the ones that actually Kelly Wilson has to take. She cleaned up Shyla really well on the screen. That's just a floater, which we know Kelly Wilson can make.
Good work there from Froling. Got a hand in. Affected the Willoughby shot. Maley and Wilson connect. Here's Ali Wilson to Kelly. Now Griffin for three. Not dropping at the moment for Bendigo. Can the Flames make them pay at the other end? That's the key here. They want to continue to close this gap. It sits at 7 right now. Heel goes herself. Nice little floater. 5-point game. Kelly Wilson pushes the pace. Froling can't finish. And Sydney right now working their way back. Willoughby over the top to Froling. And she'll go to the line and shoot a couple. Candy Hurts, you're in the Sydney huddle the last time out. What did Shelley have to say?
Yeah, assistant coach Gorman was really all about rallying her troops. Super positive energy. She did speak about boxing out, limiting the extra possessions, and also to work a lot harder on that offensive transition. We did see some of that this last play.
Just see a little bit of belief in the Sydney Flames at the moment. Margins at 5, Froling a chance to reduce that further.
Well, they've got nothing to lose, right? They're coming up against the league leaders. Their head coach has been ejected from the game, and most would say, oh, well, they're just going to lose this game. We can just throw in the white towel. But credit to them, they're hanging around. They're very lucky on that last defensive set that Bendigo didn't find the bottom of the net because their defensive transition was a little bit lacking. But credit to them, they're just hanging around here against the league leaders.
2 important free throws for the confidence of Keely Froling. Makes it a 3-point game. Wilson went looking for Griffin. Things just not flowing at the moment for the Spirit on offense.
No, and that comes down to the defensive pressure, I think, from Sydney. I think they're up and in, they're challenging them. I think Bendigo are a little bit more stagnant. They've gone to a little bit more one-on-one in their offensive sets. And you can see the energy, too, off the bench for the Sydney Flames, rather, with the girls.
Clark to Heel. Great pressure from Wilson. Shyla manages to hang on. Shot clock down to 6. Weaves her way through traffic. And Ali Wilson says, Then loses the handle herself. Sydney ball once more.
Boy, oh boy, is there a battle between these 2 point guards. Kelly Wilson, she loves the physical game. Shyla Hill did a great job of finding a way to the net. She had the Ali Wilson come over and she drew the D. That should have been a nice little kick to Tiana in the corner for a 3.
3-point game. Frustration in the body language of Kennedy Kerryama right now. They are in a scrap with the Sydney Flames. Munga Kahia to Willoughby. Can she get hot? Heel to tie it up. Oh, yeah!
Huge bucket, and no doubt Shane Hill is watching this in the change room, rallying, well, not rallying, he can't, but supporting his girls from afar. They're playing some exceptional basketball at the start of this third quarter.
Wilson works on Munga Kahia and draws a foul.
And this is a great challenge for the league leaders. We haven't seen this a lot I spoke to off the top, Jace, you know, they haven't come up against Southside Flyers. They haven't come up against the Melbourne Boomers. They've met Adelaide. They've met Townsville. The rest have been UC Caps and Bendigo. So they really haven't been challenged yet. And then we know Sydney. They're young. They're vivacious. And they're obviously on the bottom of the ladder. But they're only going to get better as this season goes on.
Coming off their first win on the weekend over the Caps. Gave them great confidence and belief. Their last 4 starts have been good. They led Perth late in that game. Couldn't finish. They pushed Southside, they led Bendigo, and then they beat the Caps tonight. Good performance from them. They trail by 1 point. 4 minutes to play in the third. Challenging the league leaders. Willoughby. Heavy collision with Kelly Wilson. Ref puts the whistle away. Great hands. Munga Kahia feeds Willoughby. And the Flames are back in front.
She's crafty. She reads the ball really well, comes up with some really, really good steals and did so in the first half. Nice little selfless bucket, though. She could have gone all the way herself, but found Willoughby underneath the bucket.
Okay. Wilson to Griffin. Now to Allie Wilson. Back to Kelsey working on Willoughby. Hook pass over the top was beautiful to McKay. Another lead change. Froling to Munga Kahia. Uses Froling, read it beautifully, and then Keeley can't finish.
And that's been the difference. They've had some really good execution on the offensive end, but just haven't been able to find the bottom of the net at different times throughout this game. But as you see here, Jocelyn Willoughby, I thought was off to the races downhill, but Kelly Wilson had other.
That was solid. They came up with the 2 in the end, not the way they drew it up. That was really solid contact between Willoughby and Wilson as Griffin takes a seat.
She needs a seat. I think she's really tired. She's gassing a bit for me. I felt like she looks like she's limping a little bit as well. And obviously at her age, she does look after her body really well. So we see a beautiful steal there from the Sydney Flames.
Munga Kahia on Maley. Heel, Froling. Has the mismatch on Wilson, but again can't finish. And Alicia hands it off to Kelly Wilson. Now to Maley. McKay inside. Works on Keeley Froling. And one. Flames wanted a travel call. Wasn't forthcoming. McKay makes the finish and can add the extra.
Great use of body here from McKay. Really strong and robust down in the low post. She knows where she belongs. She knows her limitations. And she works really well. She's come of her age in this league, and obviously she had a bigger role last year with Bendigo, but you've got to relish those opportunities that she gets to come off the bench and work week in, week out and train up against the likes of Kelsey Griffin. That's only going to make her game better.
Ball in dispute. It'll be Sydney's. So 2.5 minutes remaining in the third. 16 points to 10 this term in favour of the Flames. Heel. Whistle blown off the ball. Kelly Wilson there against Munga Kahia. Clark off to Tiana. Now to Heel. There's McLean for company right now. Shyla, tough shot. What a finish. Beautiful touch, Shyla Heel.
Tough is an understatement, and that's what they've done well all night. That pick and roll, that two-person game has been really beneficial for Sydney because right now Bendigo and throughout the duration of this game haven't been able to defend it well.
Froling pulled down the board. Couldn't get an effective shot up, and a mad scramble between Froling and Heel.
And that's
Sydney ball.
And that's the difference between the first half and this third quarter, Jace, is that relentlessness or desire to not give Bendigo a second effort. We know they're going to crash the boards, but right there, they had four girls, or four wide, as you can see, around Froling trying to come up with the possession of that ball. They're the little things that you need when you're trying to get momentum and also get the lead.
1 point game. There's Shelley Gorman on the sidelines. That's Rachel Menapa sitting down next to her, the former assistant coach of the Sydney Flames. And when Kalani Purcell went down, they've been looking for a replacement. They had Steph Bairstow come in, and then Rachel said, well, look, I'm fit. I've been training. I know the team. I was the assistant coach here last year. Give me a go. So she's on a game-to-game deal right now. If she gets on the court, she'll be a 38-year-old rookie. To be a fabulous story.
A great story, but she also knows the game. She's been around a long time. She's good friends with Lauren Jackson, a great of our league, and obviously around the world. Like, she's played a lot of basketball, so she might only be getting her first opportunity, but she's smart, and if she gets that opportunity, she'll be relishing it.
Thought that was Shane Hill back for a moment on the long
Aged
shot.
a little bit.
Yeah, well,
from
it's been a stressful night. So let's have a look here. The ref's just talking. We'll hear from Candy shortly. Candy will find out what exactly is going on here. A little bit of confusion as the game's held up. Candy Hurts, courtside. Is it a clock
guys,
issue?
it seems like the Flames actually have a phone on the bench, which is not allowed, given, of course, that their head coach, Shane Hill, is out the back and he could be communicating with the team, so they need to remove the phone in order to have the game continue, which obviously they've now just done because we're back on.
Great spot, Candy. Great spot from the refs as well. 1 point game. Munga Kahia gives Sydney the lead.
Right now, they don't need the help of Shane Hill. They're getting it done on their own, are these Sydney Flames girls? Offensively, but more so defensively.
So can Bendigo reassert themselves here, get back in control, get the game on their terms. Maley just lost their flow on offense right now. Froling receives from Wilson. Back to Maley. Can she make the big bucket? Won't drop again. Well done, McLean. Keeps it alive. Maley back out to Wilson. McKay over the top. Clark with the defence, but Froling too good. Big bucket. Bendigo back in front. Final minute, third term. Heel off to Willoughby. Jocelyn loses the handle. McKay to Wilson. Big opportunity here for Bendigo for a little buffer. Maley thought about the pop over the top. Instead, back out to McLean, and now Kelly Wilson. Calls for calm, calls a play, takes on Willoughby, draws some traffic. Back to Alicia Froling, big bucket.
Big, massive, huge bucket there. And again, Kelly Wilson just controlling tempo, making something out of nothing, but finding her teammate and Froling finding the bottom of the net.
So a big response here now for Sydney. Can they come up with one of their own? Froling drives, her sister's there, and makes the stop.
And you can see Keely just, there goes, I need a minute, I need a breather. As we see a nice, again, little pick and roll action, but you can see the sister flex, give her a stare down as they battle hard. But Keely just needs to find her feet a little bit. Always going to be a tough shot. She drew the two. Would have been nice for her to see if she could find a kick out and find an open teammate.
This felt like the final minute of this term was going to be an important one. Since that stoppage for the phone, and the Spirit lead by 4, can get the last shot away here. And for all the good work of Sydney in this term, the Spirit can still turn for home with a handy little lead. Wilson, shot clock down to 6. Will she go herself? Kelly wants a pass, pops it over the top. McKay puts up the shot. Won't go. 4-point game as we turn for home in Bendigo. Sydney scoring 20 points to 15 that quarter. They cut the deficit from 9 points to 4. And at three-quarter time at Red Energy Arena, it's Bendigo 63, Sydney 59.
Just going to stay attached. If we're defending corners, we've got to be in the gap. So we've really got to stick to our principles here. And with Shyla, let's stick you on Shyla. You stay with Tiana. We've got to stay attached to her. We can't cheat through screens that's going underneath. You really got to lock in here for us, okay? Help's going to come from non-shooters. Offensively, I think a better job when we started spacing the floor, moving the ball, and just having patience.
They're in zone on a make and man on a miss, okay? What do you want to be in right now? It's our ball.
Let's go weak pinch. Next play, all right, weak pinch. And we can work through our weak actions. Against zone, we're fine of those, but double entries can sometimes just determine what they're in. I know, obviously, we know if they make, they're in zone, but they might switch things up. Absolutely. Hey, lock in defensively here. Spirit. I finished that quarter pretty light, but it worked out. No. I mean, right now she's our best, lengthiest guard defender for Willoughby. But like right now, like even in our offensive spacing and trend, we're just running into each other because people aren't just having the discipline. We'll be push phase when we get back from the break, but anyone.
WNBL Game of the Week, 4-point margin at the final change. It's Bendigo 63, Sydney 59. The league leaders being challenged, responding late in that third term. As we start the final quarter in Bendigo, Jason Bennett alongside Jenny Screen, Candy Hertz courtside. Froling, lovely find inside to Wilson. Great start to the final term for the Spirit. They're up by 6.
Great execution there coming out of the third quarter huddle. KG was held scoreless in that third quarter, while Shyla Heel on the other end had a great third quarter to have 15 points to her name.
18 for Griffin, 15 for Alicia Froling, 15 for Heel as well. 17 for Willoughby leads the game for the Flames. And a 3-point foul shot against Mungaka Heel will send Wilson to the line.
And that's unfortunate. I thought Tiana at the end of that third quarter was exceptional. Her defense just ramped up, which allowed the rest of the Sydney Flames girls to go with her, and that forced them into a turnover, a poor shot to end the third quarter. But to give away that when you're at this point of the game is just unfortunate, because Alex Wilson is a great free throw shooter.
70% career from the stripe. Game number 190 tonight. The career she's had, started back with the Lightning in 2010, originally from Murray Bridge in South Australia, a couple of years with the Fire, 5 years with the Sydney Flames, including a couple of championships, one with Townsville, one with Sydney, a year with Adelaide, and now a couple of seasons with the Bendigo Spirit. Such a talent. Margin out to 8. Critical time again here for Sydney. Just got to stay close, keep the pressure on. Bendigo shown poise in this second half. They've been challenged. They've found their feet and responded once again, as good teams do. Froling, Heel, nice work. Lovely step through, but again, he can't finish. Keely Froling having a frustrating night around the basket. She's 6 for 13 from the field. Wilson to Griffin. Now Ali. Back out to Kelsey Griffin. Wilson to Wilson. Will Kelly go herself against Heel? She does. Won't go. They come up with a board. Froling. They come up with another board. Griffin. The Wilsons combine again. Shot clock down to 5. Kelly takes on Shyla. Can't put up a good shot. In the end, Sydney get the stop. Can they get points at the other end? Mungaka here. Willoughby set for 3. They need it. It's a big basket for Jocelyn.
Big bucket, considering they gave off over 3 offensive rebounds down the other end. Bendigo Spirit have 15-0 boards for the game, and the Flames only find themselves down by 5 points.
Jocelyn Willoughby up to 20 points. Wilson and Griffin. Maley trying to get loose. She's got Willoughby for company right now. Kelsey finds her in the corner. Was she out of bounds? She'll take the shot and make the shot. Must have just got her foot inside the line before she received possession.
Big-time player making big-time shots. She didn't get a sub or a rest in that third quarter, but making it happen for her team early here in the fourth.
Willoughby to Froling. Showed a bit of it to Griffin, who goes down clutching that right ankle. Ball is loose. Kelsey Griffin.
Rarely does KG never not get up. She'll always get up. And I thought she looked a little bit fatigued in that third quarter, Jace, when she came out. And whether that's fatigue, I don't know. She'll have a breather here. She'll compose herself. I have no doubt she'll probably re-enter the game. But this is big. big. She's got 18 points to her name. She's averaging just over 18 for the season. You can see she's trying to walk it off. There's a lot of minutes and juice left in this fourth quarter, and you can just sense that the flames are coming.
Froling. McKay can't finish. Keeley with the board. Off to Heel. Maybe another twist here in Bendigo. Off the ball foul. Umpire, refs confer. As Griffin takes to the bike to get that ankle moving again. That right ankle, we saw her roll it. In fantastic physical condition, Kelsey Griffin, 34-year-old. So it's going to be a Sydney ball from the sideline. 7 minutes to play, 7-point game. Willoughby's going to come across and take it.
It's fascinating when you look at this, the score. 24 out of 62 shots for Bendigo and only 44 shots for Sydney. And they're only down by 5 points.
Froling. Hasn't been her night at the offensive end. Wilson, 7-point game. Alicia Froling to Wilson. Maylee searching, probing for an opportunity. Goes herself against Willoughby and draws a foul. Annalee will go to the line and shoot a couple.
Froling hit that, sorry, I should say Maylee hit that big bucket in the corner on the last play, and again making things happen for the Bendigo. Again, they're just big stagnant. They were like that in the third quarter. They have been to start this fourth as well. Everything's a little bit slower, a little bit harder. Movement off the ball hasn't been, or has gone wandering a little bit.
You see Kelsey Griffin back out there.
It was always going to happen, Jace. Just needed a breather.
Got that ankle moving, warmed it up again, straight back out into the action. She pushed the physio away, so she knew it was obviously just a minor roll. She's now trying to run it out. You can see a little bit of a limp up. Timeout called, 8-point game, under 7 minutes remaining. This timeout brought to you by Aussie Hoops. Massive year for the program, over 42,000 kids aged 5 to 10 getting an introduction to the world of basketball. So if you've got youngsters who want to get involved, Aussie Hoops.basketball, here's Kennedy.
Well, Tiana, whoever's the dominant point guard there, that's what looks like they won the ball. Defensively now, I mean, like to like, between you three should be black. But we're switching over, then we want to try to stay attached and get into the body. Don't create separation, okay? You stay at home. If you can, hard show, all right? So the guard has to ride up. This is to give our guards time to recover, but then we're just going to make sure we're ready to help in and tag. So there's no easy baskets. Here we go. Hey, weak pinch next play. Weak pinch.
Jen, your translation?
Well, to be honest, Jace, I was in a daze there and I wasn't even listening to that timeout. But what I will say for Bendigo right now on the offensive end, they've just got to get a bit crisper with their movement off the ball and obviously their pick and roll action. But again, like we've been saying all game, their pick and roll D staying stuck on Shyla, if you will, in terms of whether she's coming off the pick and roll, when she's penetrating, and then making it hard for Keely Froley with her shots.
Well, I appreciate your honesty, Screening.
That's okay, Jace, anytime.
Rowe from long range. Wilson scraps with Willoughby. Off to Griffin. How's that ankle? She holds it up. The ball, not the ankle. McKay. Back to Kelly Wilson. Good pressure here from Sydney. Getting right up in the face of Bendigo. They've been able to take them out of their rhythm for periods of this game. McKay off to Wilson. Shot clock down to 3. Force a late shot. Can McKay get to position? Heel got her hands on the ball. Great stop for Sydney.
Great stop. To force the league leaders into a 24 shot clock violation. Just look at it. They're everywhere. They're hedging. They're bumping. They're staying in front. They're rotating really well. Really good possession there defensively for the Sydney Flames.
Nankakia off to Heel. Netmore Rowe. Wants some movement. It comes from Tiana. Willoughby cuts to the right. Tiana, will she go herself? She does. Reversal and finish.
She's been solid for me in the third and obviously the fourth quarter. Defensively, I think she's done a great job on Kelly Wilson at times. Just great composure and poise and really savvy and reads the ball well.
Griffin off to Maley, and now McKay. Wilson sees the lane open up, loses the handle. Willoughby regains, can pop it over the top to Heel or go herself. Goes herself, draws a foul, and will go to the line to shoot two. Candy, you're in the Sydney huddle the last time out. What did Shelley Gorman have to say?
Yeah, assistant coach working hard to really keep rallying her troops. She's really trying to get behind them. She did talk a little bit about ball movement, just to keep that ball moving. She also has a very particular play. Now, this is the very first play of the game that Sydney did. They scored off it. They did that same play in the second quarter when we still had Shane Hill on board, and they're going to be running it once more.
So here's Rachel Menipa alongside Shelley Gorman. Rachel, the former assistant coach, stepping up into that role now. Shelley taking over, running the show after Shane Hill was ejected for 2 tech fouls in the second quarter. Jocelyn Willoughby makes the first. She's up to 21 points. Four-point game once again. Sydney not going away. Great challenge this for Bendigo. Exactly what you need when you're 6-0. A gritty, scrappy affair. You've got to find your way through it, work your way through it. Come up with a way to win, and Wilson draws a foul. It's been a good challenge so far for Bendigo. Now they've got to execute down the stretch.
They do indeed. I'd love to see that one on the replay to see if Tiana did actually give up the foul, but that's the thing. When you're in motion, you just want to stay out of the contest. Challenge it, but don't give the referees any opportunity to blow that whistle. But Alex Wilson just using her craftiness there and forcing the hand of the referee.
Rookie of the Year way back in 2014. We've talked about her journey.
She's been around a long time. She's worn the green and gold at a junior level. She was at the under-23 World Uni Games as well. She's had a taste of that level. I think she has the capabilities to play at that level as well.
Commonwealth Games bronze with the 3x3 program. Was a replacement late for Leilani Mitchell when Leilani was pregnant early last season. What a replacement she's proven to be. Munga Kahia. What an exciting prospect she is. 5-minute mark, 4-point game. Maley, Griffin. Emily back to Kelly Wilson. Shot clock to single digits. Maley sets up for three. Willoughby knocks it away. Hill then tries to strip it. Foul called. Bendigo will retain possession with just 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Good in-your-face pressure again from the Flames.
It's great, Jace. This is what you want to see. This is what they need to do. And they're just putting Bendigo under pressure. You can see the crack showing a little bit. Just unfortunate there to give away the foul with 5 seconds left on the shot clock, considering they're so far away from the bucket.
Wilson and Griffin. Got such great veterans on this team. There's 3 of them there, the 2 Wilsons and Kelsey Griffin. And in the big moments, you look to those veterans to carry you home in games like this. It's going to be a Sydney ball. Really gritty performance from the Flames. Everything that Bendigo expected. Can they find a way from here, Sydney, to finish strong and come over the top? Heel feels like she's got a big part to play. Goes looking for Froling, but Alicia got in the way and broke it up. Griffin, Wilson, and now Alicia Froling can hand it back to Kelly. So we approach the 4-minute mark. 4-point game. Maley receives. Ali Wilson. Froling's got good position inside, but Keeley comes across. Does enough. And Heel off to Munga Kahia. Pulled up at the arc. Charlotte thought about the long-range shot. Will she take Froling on? Finds a little bit of space. Big bucket, Shyla Heel. 2-point game. Griffin thought about going inside to Froling. Back out to Wilson. Now Maley. Ali Wilson for 3. Munga Kahia can tie it up here. It's short. Well done, Ali Wilson. Scrambles for the rebound. And Bendigo can set up offensively once again.
And you can see Bendigo just wanting to slow things down a bit. They've got a 2-point lead here, just under 3 minutes, or just 3 minutes to go in this ball game. They want to use the clock as much as they can.
Griffin won't go, off hands. Bendigo retain possession. much to the frustration of Keely Froling. 2-point game, under 3 minutes remaining.
Tell you what, Jace, I'm right in this game. Walking in here tonight, I'm not sure I thought it was going to be as close as it was. I thought Sydney were going to push them as much as they could, but credit to them. They've been ballsy in the way they've played. They've had confidence on the offensive end at times. They've given up great shots for good shots at times, but defensively, boy, they've been great.
So take us into the two huddles. Let's start with Sydney. What's Shelley Gorman saying right now?
Got to get a stop. You know, got to get a couple more stops here, potentially 2 consecutive stops, lock this one down, and on the offensive hand, get some great ball movement, and then potentially finish. They love the flex cut action, but they'll probably finish with a mid-pick and roll action with Shyla with the ball in her hands coming off the right side, because they're doing that really well tonight, and I don't think Bendigo have defended that as well as they can. For Bendigo on the other side, it's just about running the clock. Get the ball in the hands of the people that matter. KG when she can, Ali Wilson, Kelly Wilson when the clock's winding down, and good things will happen.
2-point game, under 3 minutes to play. All about execution from here. Can Bendigo shake these pesky Flames, or is Sydney on the verge of an upset? Kelsey Griffin leads the way for Bendigo with 18 points, 15 for Froling, 13 for Ali Wilson, 10 for Maley. While for Sydney, Willoughby with 22, Heel with 17, Froling with 15. Bendigo ball. Kelly Wilson to Griffin. Wants to work on Rowe. Draws a foul and one. You said get it in the hands of your best players. They do just that, and they could come up with 3.
Frustrating because that's too easy, but it's also a 3-point play. Rowe just getting out of position. Beautiful spin baseline there by KG, the veteran of this Bendigo lineup. But not only is that a 3-point play, Jace, it also means the Flames are in bonus. So every foul from here on out, the Spirit are going to the foul line. So for that point, from a defensive point of view for the Flames, they've got to be really smart.
Griffin adds the extra back out to 5. Every possession so critical for Sydney from here. Got to keep the pressure on. Willoughby. Munga Kahia. Will she take Wilson on? She will. Faked a couple of times. Got to position. Draws a foul of her own. Candy, you were in the Bendigo huddle at the last time out.
Yeah, sure was. And I tell you what, guys, Coach Kariyama is not happy. It was the first time tonight I've seen him a lot angrier than he has been. He did say to them to stick to the offence that they're already comfortable with and to really get the ball into Kelly Wilson's hand. She's a good decision maker and the player that should be with the ball the most in the next play.
Thanks, Candy. We said at the start of the night, you could feel the Flames are starting to find their identity, starting to find their confidence and their belief. They know they can hang in this competition. And they're within 3 points of the undefeated league leaders with 2.5 minutes to play. It's one thing to hang with Bendigo, another to beat them. Wilson to Griffin, and there it is. The big 3, add 3.
How many times have we seen her do that in her career? When big moments arise and you need a big play, you just see her going, hello, I can do this. You get the ball in KG's hands and she just makes it happen. She just had a 3-point play, ladies and gentlemen, and she backed it up again with a draining along 3 ball.
Margin back out to 6. Changes the mathematics a little bit now. You mentioned running the clock down from a Bendigo perspective. 2:12 left on the clock. So from here, Screeney, you're expecting some down-tempo offense from Bendigo, just to slow things down when they're in possession, work it around, get a shot they like.
Absolutely, or get to the foul line. You know, Flames are in the bonus anyway. And if I'm the Flames, I've got to get a quick offensive hit here, whether it's a mid-pick and roll, drags action, side pick and roll, whatever it is, you've got to get a quick shot and crash the boards early, lock in on defensive transition, and then get a few consecutive stops. The game's not over. Plenty of juice left in this one. We saw it in the NBL the other night when Melbourne United were up by 5 with 25 seconds to go and lost in Perth by 1. The same's here for Sydney Flames. Still a lot of time left in this game.
2-possession game with just over 2 minutes to play. Sydney ball, critical possession now. Munga Kahia. Guarded by Wilson. Off to Willoughby, who's been outstanding. Takes on Froling. Low percentage shot from there. Big stop for Bendigo.
That's tough. I thought it was a great drive and personally a foul there from the Bendigo Spirit. But the refs saw it otherwise.
Now the foul call on Tiana Mangakahia.
And that's the thing, the frustrating thing with the Flames being in the bonus. You want to be up and in, you want to be disruptive, but the hard thing is if you go over the line too hard, you're sending them to the foul line. And Kelly Wilson just too smart there and getting herself to that position.
She's an 80% free throw shooter in her 416 games. Candy, you're in the Sydney huddle.
Yeah, we're getting a really good sense of how close this Sydney team is getting. It really was a by committee. Almost everyone had something to say in that timeout. Coach did say that Jess is doing a really good job limiting Maylee. They also got some clarity on their matchups, and she just congratulated them on, again, doing a really good job sticking in there.
8-point game. Got to come up with some points here. 90 seconds to play. Heel steps back. Big three, rattles around, won't go, but Rowe comes up with the board. Can she hang on to it? They came from everywhere, Bendigo, and won it back. Critical play. Now they can sit on it, slow things down. Griffin. And Wilson will do just that. 8 points is a comfortable lead now for them if they play it smart. Lovely feed from Griffin. Froling attacks Willoughby. Good execution in the last 2 minutes or so from Bendigo.
Kennedy would be happy with that, especially considering the last couple of minutes in their offensive execution and output. This Bendigo Spirit team mean business in terms of what they can do, their season ahead of them, they're top of the ladder. And with the players they've got, the great mix of experience and youth and the in-betweeners as well. I look forward to the matchups against Southside Flyers and Melbourne Boomers when they happen.
Margin sits at 9. Foul called on Maylee.
I think the Flames have been a little bit hard done by here. We never, want to question the referees, but boy, they've had to earn a lot of buckets here tonight at the Bendigo Red Energy Stadium.
Final minute. 9-point game. Sydney have got to make something happen from here. That's not what they're looking for. Maylee picks it off, can go herself. Take out the cameraman and draw a foul.
Making him earn his dosh tonight.
Putting his body on the line for our team. Much appreciated.
Someone that does put their body on their line for their team is Annalee Maylee. Giving the cameraman a hug there, but probably sealing the deal here for Bendigo Spirit.
Just the look on Annalee's face as she realised she was hurtling out of control straight towards the camera. A chance to re-establish this double-digit lead. We said a little earlier, it's one thing to hang with Bendigo, it's another thing to beat them. This is what good teams do. They find a way to execute down the stretch. And Bendigo is certainly a good team. Margin out to 10. Rowe to Froling. Clark, they need to jack up a three, it's short. Heel keeps it alive. Clark, back out to Rowe. Charlotte steps on the sideline.
And that's unfortunate. 2 turnovers in their last 2 possessions for the Sydney Flames. Really kind of dissolves what has been a great performance by them against the league leaders.
And the final score here may not do Sydney justice. It's out to double figures. It's been a lot closer than that. Griffin loses the handle. Mangakahia for 3. Froling against Maylee. Maylee comes up with the board. It's been a critical factor all night. We identified it early as a key area for both these teams. And the rebound count now, 44-29, plus 15 Bendigo. Points in the paint, 32 apiece, but the second chance points off the back of that rebound count, 17-3 tonight. Plus 14, the margin in the second chance. Plus 11 on the scoreboard overall. It's been the difference.
It has, and when you give the league leaders 16 more shooting or scoring opportunities, it's going to hurt, and they should really be out by 20, and 19 offensive rebounds. Ouch for Sydney. But credit to them, they hang around, they found a way, they challenged the league leaders, but they just were able to come out on top at the end here.
Final 10 seconds. Charlotte Hill will get to the line and shoot 2. Worked hard tonight, played 39 minutes, 37 for Willoughby, 37 for Keely Froling, 36 for Ali Wilson, 36 for Maley, 38 for Kelly Wilson, and 34 for Griffin. Starters on both teams have been out there for just about all night.
Yeah, the contribution off the bench has been a little bit subtle for both teams, but obviously the depth on Bendigo's bench is a little bit deeper compared to Sydney.
Froling, can she finish? She can. With 6 seconds to play, they get it back to a 10-point margin.
Quiet second half for Keely. Had some shots she probably would have normally made and missed. She's only had 5 points for the second half.
Dunlop. And the Spirit grind out the win. Bendigo extend their perfect start to 7 straight victories. They now have a 9-day break before they host the Southside Flyers on December 23 in what will be Kelsey Griffin's 200th game. Well, the Flames face another likely contender when they host the Boomers in Sydney on Friday night. It's the Spirit 85, Sydney 75.
Well, it was a great game. Really wasn't expecting this from the Sydney Flames, but you can see that just trying to gel a little bit more. I thought defensively really set the tone. You know, they play gritty and those type of things, but Bendigo Spirit coming out on the top with those possession plays every single time down the floor, making things happen.
24 points, 11 rebounds for KG23. Here she is with Candy.
Kelsey Griffin, congratulations on that win. They did try and make it tough for you. Of course, they had a bit of momentum coming off that first win, but you guys managed to lock it down. What do you put it down to?
Oh, look, I give Sydney a ton of credit. They came out and played really hard. They pushed us out of our sets. They made us go to our second, third options and get really stagnant. So Sydney played really, really well tonight and really pushed us. I think, you know, we just were able to grind it out. We got to the free throw line a lot, and I think that helped us turn the scoreboard over.
Yeah, absolutely. 24 points, 11 rebounds for you, and your team in general did an incredible job on the offensive rebounds tonight, using those second chance points. Probably the real difference. Was that the plan coming in?
Well, when we're not shooting the ball at the clip that we normally like to from the 3, you have to find a way to manufacture points, and that's getting second chance opportunities. And so that was, you know, an emphasis. When they're not dropping, you got to find a way.
Kelsey, you guys have quite a break now until you play then the Southside Flyers. What's going to happen in that 9 days you've got?
Well, I think really we haven't had a chance to review a lot of our play, so we'll probably go back, watch Townsville, watch our Sydney game again, watch our Adelaide game, watch this game, and see, you know, where we can improve, because it's still, even though it seems like it's been a long season, it's still early days and there's lots we need to improve on.
And just quickly, lastly, how's your ankle doing?
It's fine. I'm pretty fortunate. I have no ligaments left in either, so it just hurts for a bit. Have to give myself a little pep talk, and yeah, I'm fine.
What an exceptional season for you. Another incredible game. Congratulations, Kelsey.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks to Kelsey Griffin. Bendigo managed to steady down the stretch and get the job done. They extend their start to a perfect 7-0. Plenty of positives for Sydney to take from this one as well. In the end, it was Bendigo 85, Sydney 75. Back to wrap up from Red Energy Arena shortly. But before we go to the break, here's Jocelyn Willoughby.
Hi guys, I am with Jocelyn Willoughby. Just good luck. I mean, sorry, not good luck. Good try that game, of course. It was a really tough one for you, but an incredible effort against the top of the table. You must be pleased with that.
I'm disappointed, honestly. We wanted this game. We thought we could have got it. And as you said, it was a tough one. We fought really hard. But I feel like we've competed with them in previous games. This one, you know, we competed really well, but we didn't come out with the result that we wanted. So
an incredible change in your defense at that three-quarter time. What was said at halftime?
We just wanted to switch it up, keep them on their toes. So we were man at some point. We wanted to go a little bit of zone, give them a different look, and challenge them, and just really make sure we finished with boards. So.
We could definitely see that energy out there. We could see the shift in your energy as well as on the court, and the results were definitely there in that third quarter. A pity couldn't go all the way through to that fourth. You now have just 2 days until your next game, and you're playing at your brand new space in Sydney. That's got to have some good energy to it.
Absolutely, yeah. I think we are going to just kind of look at the positives from this game because we did do some things really well, and then clean up some things that we need to and, you know, bounce back. The great things that we have another opportunity to get another win 2 days later. So.
Jocelyn, it really does look like the team are starting to click a lot more, find their positioning, so good luck for the next game in just a couple of days' time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys.
Jocelyn Willoughby, she was impressive, wasn't she? And there were plenty of positives for Sydney. Pop over the top, Nelson Adota for the finish. Got the fire power if they can get hot. Nelson Adota now works on Roof. Nice finish. Reset. George, Nelson Adota versus McSpadden.
Reed, Samuelson has been hot from deep, and she continues that for Samuelson, who's been hot from this range. She has an open look, and she knocks it down all night long.
Rolling with the screen. Driving on Bunton, reversing, it's good. Peel from the wing, on the low block. Working on Whittle Harmon.
Doing that, just a touch over 5 assists has been nice.
Jackson from the top. Hands it down low, working inside, little short. Scherf couldn't come up with a rebound, and Jackson takes advantage.
Griffin at the other end, in rhythm, knocks down the triple.
We didn't see a great offensive rebounding presence for the Lightning after that shot attempt.
Kelsey Griffin breaks the drought. Griffin goes to work on the inside, spinning and banking it off the glass.
Kelsey Griffin since led Bendigo to a 7-0 start after having 24 points and 11 rebounds tonight as the Bendigo Spirit managed to overcome a gritty performance from the Sydney Flames. In the end, 10-point game was level at quarter time, 9 at the half, 4 at three-quarter time, and in the end, a 10-point win to the Spirit. Jenny Screen, who just had a little bit more poise, composure and execution down the stretch.
It came down to games experience for me, and obviously the youth of Sydney just didn't get it done against the experience of the Bendigo Spirit. But if I'm Shane Heal and his coaching staff, I'm happy with what I'm seeing from the Sydney Flames. They may be on the bottom of the ladder or thereabouts, but they're going to make a lot of teams earn their wins this season.
So we take a look at the highlights. Nothing in it early, as we mentioned, level at quarter time before Bendigo managed to sneak away a little bit in the second term. They got out to a 9-point lead after Shane Heal was ejected from the game midway through the term. Sydney managed to regain their composure pretty quickly and remain in touch. And it really wasn't until the final couple of minutes of the game that it got back out to double figures. And to be honest, a 10-point margin. The game felt much closer than that.
Oh, it was definitely much closer. And it had a few of Healy Frawley's shots found the bottom of the net. This would have been a different conversation altogether. But credit to obviously Bendigo Spirit crashing the glass with 19-0 boards. And obviously Kelsey Griffin, she had 18 at halftime, finished with 24. But I liked the likes of Frawling as well, 16 points. And Ali Wilson, she found the bottom of the net with 13 and 6 rebounds.
We spoke about rebounds at the start of the night as being probably the crucial element in the game, and in the end the differential was plus 12 for Bendigo, and that created second chance opportunities. 17 points to 5 with the second chance points, so a 12-point differential there. A 10-point final margin ended up being the decisive factor in the game.
Absolutely, and you can't give the ball away 17 times and think you're going to come away with the win. They also sent the Bendigo Spirit to the foul line 32 times. A few favourable, I say, home court calls there at times, but for the most point, Bendigo Spirit are showing why they're on top of the ladder. They did get pushed by the Sydney Flames. They showed that gritty defence that we know we've come to see from the Flames, but Bendigo found a way to win, and that's all you got to do.
And as we heard Kelsey Griffin mention, credit to the Sydney Flames who managed to get Bendigo out of their rhythm. They have been a really high-scoring, high-octane, high-energy offence this season. But there were periods of the game tonight where the disruptive defence of Sydney really just shut that down.
I thought they were all class on the defensive end. Apart from the, obviously, offensive rebounding count with 19 to, obviously, the Bendigo Spirit, they disrupted them really well. They were physical, they were gritty. And that, if I'm the Southside Flyers and I'm watching that, I want to be that when I'm coming up against the Bendigo Spirit next game.
Yeah, the Spirit have certainly, well, I mean, other teams will certainly be watching that and seeing how they can break them down. And from a Flames perspective, they've put the rest of the league on notice. They're not going to be pushovers.
No, it's not going to be an easy tick box win for any team coming up against the Sydney Flames. They're only going to get better and better. I think Jocelyn Willoughby is all class. She was sensational. Shyla Heal was awesome in that second half, and she's only going to get better as well.
So one game down, 4 to go in round 6 of the Cygnett WNBL. Friday night, the Flames back in action. As we mentioned, they host the reigning champions, the Melbourne Boomers. Then Saturday night, we head to Townsville as the Fire host the Lynx. Sunday doubleheader, Caps and the Flyers, then the Lightning and the Boomers. What a game that promises to be in Adelaide. You'll see all those games streamed live on 9 Now with our ESPN Game of the Week right here every Wednesday night. Next Wednesday night, we head to the nation's capital as the Canberra Caps look to kick their season into gear when they host the Perth Lynx. Both teams will be desperate for a win. That's Wednesday night next week. ESPN's Game of the Week live from Canberra. Caps and Lynx. 5:30, early time next week in the lead up to Christmas. Looking forward to that one. Well, that wraps up tonight's coverage from Red Energy Arena as the Spirit improved their perfect start to 7-0. On behalf of Jenny Screen, Candy Hertz, the entire production team here, thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your weekend. We'll catch you next Wednesday night.